All right, Casey. NFL game props for this weekend. Starting
Yeah.
out, uh, but I'm laughing because me and Casey just saw an absolutely insane prop that we're going to get into. I don't understand it at all, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. The first prop that we're going to talk about is biggest winning margin in any divisional round game: over 16 and a half points or under 16 and a half points.
Yeah, just a fun this is a fun little interesting one. It seems weird that the number's so high and there's no spread that high. There's no spread even close to that.
Yeah, yeah, and both are over is minus 130, and under pays minus 110.
I
I
think the reason that they know it's going to be over is because they know the Giants are going to win 31-13. Like it's just like it's a trap line.
yeah,
Um and
I it,
I don't
not
understand.
nothing here really seems all that attractive to me. If I had to make a bet, it'd be the under, but
Yeah, which seems scary because it seems obvious.
yeah, and it even pays better. Like everything about it just
Mm-hmm.
screams under. So you know it's going to be the over. So bet the over.
There are times when sports books in general do something that is obvious and it is obvious. This is what's crazy, and of course we're talking betting content here. So if you bet, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, but sometimes they have to do something. They know that there's an edge that really sophisticated bettors can get because you could look at all kinds of things. You could run calculators. Every simulation is going to have these games being around at worst 10 or 11 point spreads. Um, you can look at all the spreads that Vegas puts out. None of them are over 10 points. So the games should all be within 16 and a half. But there's always the opportunity for a pick six that really skews a game or a punt return touchdown or something that really like puts the final nail in the coffin and ends the game. You
Hmm.
know, you could see a situation where Kansas City's up 10, there's 3 minutes left. So it's just enough time where if you do pick it off, you got to run it back. And then it kind of kills the game.
Yeah.
If something like that were to happen, any team can be in that situation. So it's a stay away for me because it's weird, but it
Hmm.
could be one of those times where they're like, look, we're giving you a free minus 110 bet because
Yeah.
we want you to think everything you see like this is free and we're going to get you next time.
Right. Right. Yeah. There is like a little bit of that psychological manipulation that goes on for sure.
Sports books can't win every bet.
Right.
They can't
Right.
because then you wouldn't bet.
So so when they lose, they're gonna psychologically screw with you, so that
Yeah,
they can
you're
win
going to
next
win your 100
time.
here, so you'll put 200 on the next one.
Right.
They're going to get that money, and you're still going to have the belief that you can win the obvious
Right.
bets.
Right. Okay, so moving on from that one, highest scoring game. Jaguars and Chiefs are plus 200, Giants Eagles plus 250, Bengals and Bills are plus 260, and the Cowboys and 49ers are plus 375. To me,
Mm-hmm.
the one that sticks out immediately is the Bengals and the Bills at plus 260. That's the
Mm-hmm.
one that
It's
I'm
a good
kind of
one.
drawn to. Uh, but honestly, all of these look like okay. I think any of these games could be the highest scoring game personally.
So I won't. Yeah, that this is a tough one for me this week. I like the odds on the Cowboys and the Bengals games. What I will say is last week we took the Ravens game, which had the lowest under on the book,
Hmm.
and then so we said by logic, if I think it'll go under and Vegas thinks it's the lowest scoring, then I naturally must take the better odds instead of getting minus 110. Take the plus 220 and take it as the lowest scoring game of the week.
Hmm.
That came to fruition.
Hmm.
We did hit on that.
Yep.
So my mentality would say is if you're out there and you're looking at this and I don't think this is not a play for me, but if you think the Jags Chiefs is an over for you and it's the highest over under total for the week by a wide margin, you probably would be better off taking the odds at plus 200 here than taking over 52 to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I
if you're going to go over 52, there's a high chance that that's also the highest score. So why don't you take the better odds?
take the juice.
Because
Yeah.
then you could also still win your money on a 48 point game because the others could be lower.
The thing that I worry about in the Kansas City Jacksonville game is the potential
Blowout.
for a blowout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though I like the Jags to keep this game competitive, I do think that out of all these games, this one is the one that has the most blowout potential. And if that happens, if Kansas City wins, 31-10, it's probably not going to be the highest scoring game.
Yeah.
And
Kansas City home games in the Andy Reid era, by the way, are very high to the under. Like at a very wide uh, or at a very high percentage, the under hits.
mhm.
When he's been the head coach and they're playing at home, and I can't explain it to you, but
I think it's because of
I'm a
the
believer in it.
blowout. I think it's because of the
Yeah, they
blowout
get out
thing
there and they just finish them.
that they'll set the lines really high because Kansas
They
City
do.
is so explosive, and then the under will come in because Kansas City will get up by 17 in the first quarter, and they'll just kind of control the game and not play overly aggressively. The other team can't score, and it comes in at a total of 45 when the over was set at 48, just because Kansas City was just beating the daylights out of whoever. So that's my only worry with that bet. The reason that I'm picking Cincinnati and Buffalo here is, to me, this feels like it has the potential to be the most competitive game. The Cowboys 49ers does too, but I really like both of those defenses. Their potential to shut down the offense more than the Bills and the Bengals. But once you throw turnovers and things like that in, I think either one of those could hit. So I would be okay with either bet. I would be okay with someone taking the juice on 49ers and Cowboys, just going with plus 375. But I don't know. Bills Bengals just seems like a really good bet to me.
When you look at a bet like this, or particularly, yeah, pretty much whenever you're trying to see which game can go over, I think what comes into play a lot, and we see it all the time, is 2-minute drill quarterbacks who can score those last second points.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just envision a scenario where it's a 3-point game with 4 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
Which two quarterbacks do you think can then, in the 3 minutes, they're each going to run at least one 2-minute drill, provided the first one will score. So let's put the Bengals down 3 in this narrative. Which of all the other matchups do you see a team driving down, kicking that field goal to tie it, the other team having 2 minutes, now going and scoring a quick TD, and then a response still in a 1-minute drill? And this one seems like you could get a 17.3-minute period, 4-minute period, more than the other games. Maybe the Jacksonville game, if Trevor Lawrence has really come out like you think from last week, like if that was his coming out party, and now he's the guy.
And he's still, but even thinking that he still hasn't proven that yet. Like, this is his prove it game. This is his prove that you've broken out game. So yeah, you're right. Nobody even comes close to Josh Allen and Joe Burrow in that situation in these matchups.
And neither of them will try to get down to the final second to score that TD because the defenses are good enough to theoretically stop the other teams. That's the other big piece. Like, I think if it's the Eagles Giants in that scenario, the Eagles will milk it down, or the Giants particularly, if they're the team who has a shot to play for the win with 2 minutes left, they're not giving the ball back. I don't imagine they'll do everything they can to finish it, or to take it to overtime.
Yeah.
So you got to look at who can score in bunches. To me, it's the Bengals Bills. I could see it also. I could see the game ending up with the Cowboys Niners being the high scoring because of the potential for turnovers, like we talked about in the last video.
Yeah.
About that matchup. So.
Okay, moving on. Highest scoring team. Chiefs are the favorite at plus 285. Eagles plus 350. Bills plus 450. 49ers 600. Bengals 800. Cowboys 900. Jaguars and Giants both come in at 1,000.
You can't bet all the different ways that my brain is thinking on this, because I think the Cowboys will win eye test wise.
Yeah.
But the plus 600 on the 49ers is a beautiful line. My calculator has them at my original projection has them far and away the highest scoring team. And then when I blend with Vegas, it has them as the second highest scoring team, only behind the Chiefs, which again, we've talked about. The Chiefs can shut it down if they blow them out. I don't really see the 49ers blowing them out. So I don't know. You get 6 to 1 on the 49ers being the highest scoring team.
Wow. Yeah. That is even, honestly, even the Giants down there at plus 1,000,
we've seen the Eagles defense be a little suspect.
Yeah.
We've seen Jalen Hurts throw some bad picks, not this season, but maybe the pressure gets on him and he throws a couple pick sixes. This could be wild.
Yeah. There are a lot of really attractive bets here where to me there's just so much juice on all these at the bottom. Like, Chiefs are probably the most at plus 800. Are you kidding me?
I won't take the Jaguars here.
No,
I
no,
can
the
tell you,
Jaguars.
I don't think they'll be the highest scoring because I feel like if they win the game, it's because it stays low.
But the Jaguars, like honestly, this is the only bet that I would tell you to actively avoid. All the other ones, I could make solid justifications for.
It's probably the one that's going to win now because of
Actually,
what we just did.
yeah, actually though, the more I think about it, I don't think there is enough juice on Kansas City to take them. I do think they're the favorite to be the highest scoring team, but plus 285, I just think there are way too many teams that could score 38 while Kansas City scores 35. That's going to happen too often.
And every reason that you would like intuitively think like that would point to Kansas City, you could use that same logic on the Eagles and get $70 more for every 100 that you bet.
Yep.
So like I haven't checked. I really need to pull up the weather for all the games here because maybe that's why there's a big difference there.
Mm-hmm.
There's not. There's no reason here.
Mm-hmm. The Bills. Yeah, I mean, the Bills at plus 450 and the Chiefs are at 285. Like, I don't know. That seems like the public is just doing what they always do with Patrick Mahomes and just pushing all their chips in the middle of the table on him.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go back, but after pulling up the weather, the 49ers Cowboys, all the games should be beautiful. We talked about there's potential for some snow in the Bills game, but the Cowboys Niners, there's a 55-degree forecast, probably the most mild weather. It tends to me say that's going to have a lower impact than the other games will.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like the over in that situation.
Yeah.
Even a little bit more, and therefore the high scores of each team.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Home teams, away teams. Away teams are plus this is the total spread on all the games. Away is plus 25.5. Home is minus 25.5. Both are minus 120. So didn't we bet last time
the away teams and we won?
Yes.
And in fact, I'm pretty sure we would have won money line because of the way the Cowboys won the game.
That's right. The Cowboys really carried that bet for us.
We got a cool situation with some props last week, and it was that we were very alive in all of them. And in fact, we almost hit a big one. Had Brady gotten 2 more yards and a touchdown more, we would have also hit a 4-1 on the Ravens being the lowest scoring team, and then we would have also hit him going over at 6-1, being the highest scoring pass or highest yardage passer.
We were very
close. What was real
interesting
is by taking the away teams at minus 110, we effectively going into the night had the Cowboys at plus 5.5 at a minus 110 line. And a friend of mine, he said, "So you like the Cowboys? Why don't you bet them?" I was like, "Because I already got them at plus 5.5 at the same odds that I could take them at minus 3."
Yeah.
So why would I ever do that? It's making it harder on myself to make money in the long run. I actually just took the points and enjoyed it. Of course, watching them win made it even juicier. But
yeah, I personally for this one, I love the away team at plus 25.5. I think this week is very likely to see some upsets, and that's going to give you even more points to work with to protect against like a Chiefs blowout or a Eagles blowout or something like that.
I have the home teams, the calculator. We did this last time. This is why we landed on the away teams. My projection has it as an 8-point home win, meaning, so the home teams will win by 8 total points versus the away teams.
Yeah,
and then the blended one is a 17-point differential. Both of those are still well under the 25.5.
Sure.
And when you especially pack in the fact that like we could see a world where the Cowboys and Bengals win. I believe the Giants will win, but let's say they don't. Let's say I'm wrong on that because I very well can be. I'm not right all the time. I think there's enough opportunities for different away teams. I think the Jags can keep it close. And you pretty much have to have one of these games be a 2-score differential because we would assume one away team will win. So you're going to get 3 to 10 points from that. But then that means you're going to need a 14, 15-point victory, and we already said they're trying to bait you into taking under 16.5 widest margins. But is it obvious? Maybe that is the obvious play this week. I don't know. So I don't know. I lean towards the away teams. I probably would say let's take the away teams at minus 120.
I'm
so we can
all
have
over
the luxury of getting a great line on the Cowboys going into the night.
The more you talk about it, the more I'm all over this bet. Away teams plus 25.5. I love
This
it.
has proven to be my favorite one so far. Like, it's very cool
Yeah.
to look at. Well, if I combine all 4 games, this is very cool. It's
Yeah.
like the grand salami in hockey. If you've ever done that before.
I agree. This is a really interesting bet to me. It is the most fun to track. Okay, now we get to the nightmare.
No, I don't want to talk about this.
You don't.
Look, man.
Let's just give it a little bit. Let's just talk about a little bit about how ridiculous it is. Okay, this prop, if Marr for the Cowboys, the kicker for the Cowboys, misses an extra point, how will it miss? Wide right minus 140, wide left plus 120, right post plus 700, left post plus 800, crossbar plus 3,300. So there's so many questions with this prop. One, is it a void?
Stupid.
Yeah, it's so stupid. This is such an insane prop.
What happens? So the questions. Let's reread the bet is without all the odds and everything. So just to remind you, it's if, important word,
yes,
Marr misses an extra point, how it miss. So we know some obvious things. Who did they just sign?
I can't.
The Cowboys just signed insurance as a kicker.
Yeah,
Visciano, or I'm sorry, I'm not. Anyway,
they signed Aradis Vizcaino, the former relief pitcher for the Braves. Nah, I'm just
so there's a little button you can click, and of course this is the online book that we're looking at just to see the lines.
Yeah.
If Marr misses an extra point, how it miss, and then it simply says must have at least one attempt. Dallas and San Francisco.
Yeah.
Okay. So if he doesn't kick any, it's a void no matter what.
Right.
So if the other guy plays, no issue.
But what if he makes them?
But then, what if he kicks 4 and makes all 4? Because the dude only missed 3 in the regular season. Not mind you, that the whole world, them signing a kicker is stupid to me. The whole world saying he should be on the streets is stupid to me. They won games in the regular. They're in the playoffs at the seating they were at. They had the opportunity that they had in large part or in some part due to his success in the regular season. I talked about it last week. He's one of the best kickers in the NFL this season.
He's been incredible. He had one bad game.
I can't explain to you what happened.
Yeah.
I can't explain to you what happened last week, but I can tell you this. If it was the jitters or the bubble guts or whatever it was, that's gone.
Yeah.
The pressure is off. He'll have pressure on the first kick, but when he makes it and he's got that confidence back, I just don't see the dude missing any extra points in this game.
The only thing I'll say, this has to be a void if he makes all of them, because if it wasn't wide, there is no way that wide right should be at minus 140. That should be at like plus 1,400. That like the idea that like, oh yeah, in this game he is going to miss an extra point wide right. That specific thing is going to happen should be like plus 1,400. Like, I mean, it's crazy. So it has to be a void. But the fact that they didn't mention that, like in the bet, like if he makes all of them,
scary.
It's a void. It's super scary. And to me, it's almost irresponsible of Bet Online. Like I hate this. I hate everything about it.
Listen, the recency bias is a huge deal in all sports, like wagering and making picks and everything. And everybody in the world believes he's going to miss one. That if they even had a prop that said, will Marr miss an extra point, I would take the no. Because everybody and their brother, because it's probably minus 150. So you're going to get good juice on an NFL professional kicker, one of the 32 most elite kickers alive on the planet who can kick a football through a narrow goalpost. You're going to get – I'm so confused at this. This bothers me so incredibly much. I think – if you bet on it at all, you're not wise. If you list the bet, it's irresponsible. And I think betting on it is really irresponsible because you don't really know what happens if he makes them.
He is a 95 he is 95.5% on extra points in his career. 95.5%. Why is this even a thing? Why?
Nobody is 95.5% at anything that they do in life. That is an enormously good person at that specific task.
I don't even think I can take 95% of my steps without tripping. Like
this is
it's ridiculous.
I hate that. This bothers me a lot because it is one of the better kickers.
Yeah.
I just, if you're talking about a college kid, like if you blindly were to put a lineup that says in the regular season, will whoever happens to be the kicker for the Alabama Crimson Tide miss 5 extra points? I would say yes, because Alabama has notoriously bad luck with that,
Right.
even as one of the better teams. But this is a direct attack at an individual. It seems really poor. It seems like terrible recency bias. There's a lot of things that I hate about this,
Yeah.
and I just want to put some respect on Brett Maher's name. And I
Yeah.
have a Cowboys fan, close friend, who in the game was like, they should cut him. I'm like, you are the. He also thinks they should cut Dak Prescott if they don't win the Super Bowl. He's an idiot, so who cares? Sorry if you're watching this, Mike,
Yeah.
but that happened.
Who would you rather have, Bill Maher or Brett Maher for anything?
So the next one is going to be the lowest scoring game of the week. What a flop this one is. I really liked this last week with the Ravens. I don't think it's as obvious this time.
In fact,
I think if you got to pick one, you probably have to pick the Giants-Eagles game.
Yeah.
To me, I just feel like you have to.
Honestly, I don't want to pick any of them.
There's no good lines.
To me, the Cowboys and 49ers feels pretty solid too, even though you're not getting quite as much juice, just 25 points. Or it's plus 225 to plus 250. I don't know. I don't like any of these. I don't have any intuition whatsoever. I think all of these are going to be kind of high scoring games. So
if I could get 5 or 6 to 1 on the Jags Chiefs game, I would probably take that. But 3.5 is not enough.
No, it's not. Not
even though
all.
I think it's the lowest scoring game, I just don't think it's enough.
Mm-hmm.
Lowest scoring team. This one's interesting.
It is.
We might find some good stuff here.
I think it's kind of crazy that the Giants are the favorite at plus 275. To me, the Jaguars should be a clear favorite here. Because even though I like them,
that's
even
who
though
I have as the lowest scoring team.
Yeah, even though I like
and
them,
I want them to win. So
they're...
don't think I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. But
I just think it's so like there's such a better chance that a blowout happens to the Jaguars than any other team. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
You know,
I really want to see the Jaguars do it too, man. And I think that they can. But plus, I mean, 4-1 on the money line. They're obviously not favored very well to have a shot here.
What do you think about maybe the 49ers plus 900? To me, that one's kind of interesting because
a good one.
But because the idea would be that like Micah Parsons just absolutely harasses Brock Purdy for the entire game. He can never get a rhythm
and that they
going.
just don't figure it out.
Yeah, they just can't figure it out. It's kind of hard to bet against a Kyle Shanahan-led offense, but I think 9-1 is enough for me to take that. I mean, that's only 300 points better than the Kansas City Chiefs. To me, that's pretty good juice.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of weird that it's that much of an underdog now that you pointed out. I will say that, given the fact that I know as a matter of fact the Giants are winning their game, the Eagles could be attractive. The Eagles putting up 10 points is a real scenario that I could envision. So I don't know. Yeah, I said it. Take the Eagles 10-1. But in all reality, probably the 49ers probably have the best looking juicy line.
Yeah. I agree.
And if for some reason the Bengals and Bills come out and the game is just on its head with what everybody thinks is like a really good competitive game for the quarterbacks, but it turns into a defensive showcase, which happens a lot. You ever notice that? Like you're like one of the best quarterbacks against one of the best quarterbacks, and then it's 17-14 because what happened here? Like that's so weird. I could see that because it's such a chess match that they're being so strategic and not giving the ball up that they're also not taking the right chances to progress far enough down the field.
That's an interesting point. That does happen more often.
Maybe that game has a good spot, but
yeah, and that's probably why they don't have as much juice.
We see that as one of the more competitive games, that in the Cowboys game, but that they're literally right next to each other right here on high and low scoring teams that like I don't think anybody knows what to expect here with that game.
Yeah,
it's going to be kind of crazy.
Very, very high variance game for sure. Okay, most passing yards in the divisional round. This one's a little tough. I think they've kind of made the lines on this pretty well. I think Patrick Mahomes should be the favorite. I think Joe Burrow and Josh Allen are right at plus 400. Dak is maybe a little interesting at plus 750.
Yeah, I was just looking at my numbers and I didn't think there would be an obvious one, but it looks like it's screaming. It's either Dak or Allen.
Yeah.
At 256 for Allen, and because I don't actually, I should parse this out better. 291 for Dak, and we were real close on Brady last week, so I don't
We
want to
were.
shy away from the fact that, and that was a long odds option. It wasn't like the number 2 guy. It was like
Right.
Josh Allen was plus 180, and then like 4 guys, and then Brady at plus
Yeah. We
600, and I was
even
like,
though
all right, go with it.
even though we lost the bet, we nailed the analysis.
You can't be a screen pass away and think it's a bad pick. I mean, you're
Right.
talking about you didn't need a lot to hit that.
Right.
You needed 2 yards.
And for a similar reason, I just think that the potential for the Cowboys to score a lot of points, to throw for a lot of yards. The only issue with Dak, with the Cowboys in general, is sometimes they will lean heavily on their run, and that can limit, obviously Dak's ability to rack up passing yards. But I think in a game like this, there's a lot of potential for them to get down in this game, for the game script to force them into a more pass-heavy offense. And there's a lot of potential for them to... This is also a very high-variance game, kind of like the Bills and the Bengals. And I think because of that, take the juice. Instead of taking Josh Allen at plus 400, take Dak Prescott at plus 750.
Yeah, and I think the situation that you run into here is that if you're up as the Cowboys, caught 17 points at the end of the half, you can't stop. Like even if the game script is in the other direction, you can't just stop beating them up. And you don't really beat the 49ers on the ground. You don't necessarily beat them through the air either. But I think you engage. You have so many weapons that you're going to engage your running backs through the short passing game. You're going to engage Schultz through the short passes and Lamb, over the middle, and you're going to have all these opportunities that. I think that makes a lot of sense to take the juice there. I was going to tell you, I actually have Daniel Jones at like 4th on the week. So I think with the juice there, he could be an option. But again, same logic as last week. He takes too many rushing yards. And so if he's running well, he's not going to need to.
And his weapons are just kind of inferior to a lot of these other options. That's one of the reasons why I didn't say Trevor Lawrence. Although I will say that could be another game script deal where they get down by 13, 17, something like that, and he has to try to pass his way back into the game and throws for 340 yards or something like that. So at plus 70, that wouldn't be terrible either.
After watching that night unfold, those games, I wasn't watching all the stats for an individual, but I thought, oh man, this kills the Tom Brady thing, because seeing this comeback, he surely had to. He only threw for 280 yards in a 30-point comeback. Like, what a wild reality that was.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you that it was kind of fraudulent that the Chargers had that lead. To me, I didn't see that happening, but I will say, actually, the ranking system that I have has passing yards order, and I want to kind of say this to just see how close we are. Was Prescott, Purdy, Allen, Jones, and then it jumbles up pretty good the rest of the way. And I'm trying to see. I didn't do. Trevor Lawrence would be 5th, and then it's like, but Trevor Lawrence and the other guys were all within 10 yards of each other.
Oh, okay.
So, but I have Prescott, Purdy, Allen, Jones, and so I'm interested to see if those are the top 4 at next week when we come back and look.
Man, it's kind of wild that Mahomes isn't in that top 4. Like, that's kind of wild to me. I'm trying to understand why.
Yeah, where do I have him? Let me double check that.
Yeah,
I know. No, he's I have him less than not less than Lawrence, but right around. I have him at 217 yards.
Okay.
Just the run. Because this does bring in the reality that there's a lot of scenarios that there's a blowout in the home games.
That makes sense.
Again, we're that trend of home game unders. He throws for less because they can start to give it to McKinnon and Pacheco and the gang of running backs and sometimes a fullback.
I don't want to spend too much time on this, but to me that is kind of the trap bet of this prop. The Mahomes plus 225.
And it could happen, but I just don't see it. They hand it off to Kelsey from time to time. They do so many creative things that make them win games by wide margins that I just don't think it's worth.
Right. Okay. Most points scored by any team division round, over 40 points, under 40 points. Both are at minus 120. I wouldn't lay any money on this
That's
bet.
a tough one.
Yeah.
We only
Uh,
had one team do it last week, so if I had to, if you gun to my head, do something, I'd say under.
yeah, me too.
But I
Uh,
wouldn't.
yeah.
This is nothing for me.
Moving on, most receiving yards in divisional round. There are a lot of people to go through, and I won't go through all of them.
I don't
But
like the top three guys' lines at all.
no, me
Kelsey's
neither.
attractive at 8.5 to 1.
Yeah,
Um,
anything for a bet like this, anything under like plus 800, I'm just kind of staying away from. I like,
Lamb aligns very well with the Dak Prescott narrative.
yeah, yeah,
9 to
it
1 on
does.
Lamb is a really good line.
To
Christian Kirk on the comeback narrative at 14 to 1. I
yeah,
think they actually have, they spread the ball around very well in Jacksonville. So
the
I'm not going to say that, like, I think that their offensive weapons of Ingram, Kirk, Jones, and the Jones Bros Bagel Shop, I
yeah.
don't think that they are as good as any other group of core skill players, but I think that they're good. Like, I think they
Mhm.
don't get enough credit for what they are, and I think Christian Kirk earned every dollar of that contract that everybody hated him for getting last season and the
Yeah,
offseason. And so Juju Smith-Schuster is interesting at 14 to
I,
1.
I think you're missing the obvious play. Gabe Davis at 14 to 1.
Okay, there. This is weird that so many of them are at 14 to 1.
It is.
If I had to
There
take one of
are
that batch, I would take T. Higgins.
six. T Higgins is another good one. Honestly, the only two that I probably wouldn't bet on would be Kirk and Ayuk. I like Christian Kirk just fine. I don't think his potential to lead the league in receiving this week is huge. Um, but the other four, Juju Smith-Schuster, just because he plays with Mahomes, but he would probably be fourth. But then Devontae Smith, T. Higgins, and Gabe Davis, I think all three of them could easily lead the this week in receiving.
Mm-hmm.
Gabe Davis, just because he's so explosive. We've seen it before in the playoffs with him. T. Higgins, because he's the best of the three. And then Devontae Smith, because all season he's had like these big swings in receiving yards,
He's
like
had
where one
game.
week where he'll
Yeah.
get you 60, and then the next week he has like 180.
I
So
would say if we let's dig a little deeper on the lines, like just maybe if we're talking about a small $5-10 dart throw at something that could
right.
be interesting. Avoid Evan Ingram, even though you all saw him win your best ball leagues or be the reason you lost your best ball leagues.
Yeah,
He did it once.
definitely.
It won't. I hate trying to say things that are too like set in stone. I can't see it happening again.
If you're
Where he goes
going
up
for a
and has
big,
that.
if you're going for a big
Hodgins.
underdog, I
Boyd
okay.
is okay.
These are the three big underdogs that I say have like a a
Michael
small
Gallup.
Michael Gallup, Marquez Valdez Scantling, and Tyler Boyd. Those are the three.
Because Scanlon can do it in two plays.
Yeah, exactly. Gallup is another guy that can do it in just a couple plays, and he'll probably get a little bit more volume than Valdez
Because
Scantling.
they might scheme really well towards Lamb, and then all of a sudden it necessitates that you have to do a lot of your work in the passing game through Gallup and Schultz.
Yeah. And then
But
Tyler
Gallup at 40 to 1 is way better than Schultz at 40 to 1 to me.
And then Tyler Boyd at plus 3,300. The reason I put him in that is because, like, it doesn't happen often, but like once or twice a year, you will see one of these Bengals games where Tyler Boyd will, early in the game, he'll take like this little slant, this little drag route or something. He'll make a couple guys miss, and he'll take it for 60 yards. And then the rest of the game, like Joe Burrow just kind of locks in on him, and he gets 12 targets and really just has an incredible game. And if you have him in fantasy, he wins your fantasy week.
You mentioned a good number. It is once or twice a year, but so let's just say twice. That's 1 out of 8. You only need this 1 out of 30.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're beating 1 out of 30 and you think it's truly between 1 out of 8 and 1 out of 16, you're doing great by taking that line.
Yeah.
You obviously can't. I do not advise going and taking 4 different guys and hoping one hits.
No.
I think pick one, make it small, have a good time. Make it the late game if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like take a Cowboys player because you want to see like how we got with the Brady line. You got to see like what's the true number I need is 353 yards.
Yeah.
And so you get to watch that. Or just stay away from it in general. I do like what I would like better about Boyd is if it was just fantasy points because the other thing is, it seems on his big games, it's 2 TDs or 3 TDs or a lot of little catches, and so he really racks up those PPR points.
Yeah.
More so than true yardage.
So
but I think there's too many mouths to feed in Cincy.
Yeah, the past 3 seasons he's had 5 games like this. None of them. Only one of them was like where I think it would clearly win this week at 155, or at least it probably would win this week. But he has a 125 yards in one game, 101 he had, and that was in 2020. In 2021, he had one game where he had 118, and then this year he had one game against Atlanta at 155, and then one game against the Jets at 105. So, yeah, I don't know. I think 33-1 is pretty good. Is pretty good odds on him, getting 140 yards, and there being a bit of a down week everywhere else, and nobody quite reaching that amount. But if I had to lay a bet, these are all our long shot options, right? If I was making a bet on this, I agree with Casey. I would probably go with T. Higgins or Gabe Davis. Yeah. So most rushing yards in the divisional round. Are you going to roll with your ETN?
He's again? One of the options here. I'm looking at the ones that are sticking out from the calculator are going to be Pacheco, Etienne, and McCaffrey. This is not looking at the odds yet on those guys.
350 for McCaffrey, 600 for Etienne, 1,200 for Pacheco.
I'd probably take Pacheco here.
Yeah.
Let's take the. I like, because you're not supposed to win it. Now McCaffrey ended up doing it last week. We only missed that one by 10 yards or something. I think he won it last week. I never actually went and saw who won.
Yeah.
But again, the same mentality goes back to an interesting play. Let me correct this. The odds are too terrible. Miles Sanders would be interesting if they try to keep Hurts from running a lot.
Yeah.
Because I think Miles Sanders has the skill set to do it.
Yeah.
It's just, I think, again, the same logic on Barkley last week. Jones took too many rushing yards there. Hurts is going to take too many from Sanders in the way that I envision this game going. And the same thing will happen in this week. Both of those teams should rush very well. If I had to pick a highest rushing team, it would be the Eagles. But I don't see a player being the highest rusher.
Dude, once again, how wild is it that Joe Mixon is plus 1,400?
Joe Mixon is better odds than Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Daniel Jones actually is favored. That's what's funny.
Yeah.
And he's a great runner, but he's not a 150-yard rusher. He's not Justin Fields or Jalen Hurts at the quarterback position.
But
if you said you had to take a quarterback, it's Hurts.
Yeah. Joe Mixon at plus 1,400. That's just wild to me.
18-1.
Like that really, really feels like a great bet, but I know it's not.
Yeah, I don't know that it could. If it does start snowing.
Yeah.
Actually,
I don't know.
Clement Singletary would be great 14-1 sweats.
Yeah.
In a snowy game.
Yeah, maybe. But all right, moving on from that, we got to hang on.
I got one more thing to note, because I will say Elijah Mitchell is potential, but you would require McCaffrey to get hurt. And I don't want to sweat a bet because of that.
Early.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 25-1 is not good enough.
Mitchell was
for that.
Starting or going to play a lot, get 15 carries, I like him a lot at 25-1.
So do I. Okay.
But you don't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Total points scored in all 4 games combined, under 195, over 195. You would probably have a better sense of this because you're looking at the calculator right now, or the projections right now.
Pure no bet.
Pure no bet. Wow.
Pure no bet. I have 186. I have 187 to 190, and I think that's too close when you're talking that many points.
Yeah. Too much variance.
Like I need a big percentage difference, not just 6 points difference.
Yeah, that is very close. Okay, well,
I would rather take the away teams.
Yeah. Will any game go to overtime divisional round weekend? No.
I like the yes.
At plus 350, yes is interesting. It is.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off. The no is minus 600 for those who aren't looking at the screen. I get a little ahead of myself.
Yeah. The no is minus 600. Yes is plus 350. I think that's pretty good odds on a game. Like, I think a lot of these games could be much more competitive than I thought last week's would be. So yeah, I like the yes bet on that.
I've got 3 having a good shot. With I genuinely believe we might see it in the Bengals-Bills games.
Yeah.
I'm starting to really,
And-
which is also taking away from my Cowboys-Niners highest score lean.
Weren't you and I on no last week on overtime games? I think we were because of all the blowout games, and I don't think we actually
realized that he
laid
had like one shot.
Yeah. So I think that we were on the no, and we were correct on that. So
how about though? Hold on. We were on the no, but I said the opportunities, there were 2, and it was the Giants, Vikings, and the Jags, Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
And both of those games could have.
Yeah, easily.
Both of those games. I mean, if the Jags don't go for the win with the 2.
Yeah. To be fair,
they did.
To be fair though, so could the Ravens, Bengals, and the Bills, Dolphins too. Like those could.
So sure, I was technically wrong there, but even in watching those games, I didn't.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like they would.
The Ravens, Bengals could have, but I think it would have more so been that he doesn't fumble the ball on the goal line, they score the touchdown, and the Ravens just win. Because the way Burrow was playing in that game, I didn't see them going down and scoring.
Right.
On that defense.
Right.
I think we'll see a different game this week.
Okay, well, any non-quarterback throw a TD pass in the divisional round? No is at minus 2,000, and yes is at plus 700. So I love putting $20,000 on no. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
You got to really want to gamble to take either side of that.
Yeah, it's just such a.
Which is fine if that's what you want to do, but to me, it's nothing.
It's fun to like maybe put a little bit on yes, like $5 on yes, maybe. I don't know.
Let me stop you for just a second. So you have to like that it in the way that I think. You have to think that that's more likely to take that instead of a Etienne to lead in rushing yards or a Kelsey to lead in receiving or Lamb to lead in receiving. Like those are better odds, and I think way more likely than a non-QB throwing a touchdown. Like you don't know the game plan.
Yeah.
You don't know how many tricks they're going to throw.
Yeah. I think last week the odds were a little bit more flattened out here.
Mm-hmm.
And me and you were actually kind of excited about one of the bets. I forget which one it was, but I remember you and I talking about how teams will kind of, throw caution to the wind and get tricky. So yes, could be a fun bet. Yeah. But I agree with you. I think it's just a no bet. Will any team score a defensive special team touchdown? Yes is minus 1,290 and no is plus 190. I kind of like the no here at plus 190. I think that's okay. I don't think I'd bet it just because, you feel.
I like the yes.
You like the yes at minus 290. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have this, and this is without special teams because we also have the luxury there. I have there being total 18 turnovers in these 4 games. It's a lot of turnovers.
What did we discuss with the idiotic prop? Will Brett Maher miss an extra point?
Yeah.
No is minus 500.
I'm glad that it's that. I'm glad that because I thought it was going to be like plus 110, and I was actually going to make it a bet. This is a no play for me.
Yes.
Given recent history, it's a little sketchy, but I will say that he shouldn't miss one, and I'm glad that the odds reflect that.
And I think that this confirms that it would be a void if he made all of his extra points that other bet. So that makes me feel a little bit better.
This next one I really like, actually. Will the Cowboys have a 2-point conversion attempt? Yes, plus 135 or no, minus 175. I like the yes here, that they'll go for 2 at some point in the game. One, you have the potential that he misses his first one, which God forbid. But if he does, they'll go for 2.
Yeah.
Or if he misses his first one and then the other guy misses his first one and then that third touchdown, because I could see them scoring 3 TDs, of course, that yes, they'll go for 2.
Or maybe the Cowboys coaching staff just caves into popular pressure and just says, you know what, we don't trust him, so we're just going to go for 2 every time.
Well, And, you like analytics in football. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that against a team like the Niners to say we need to go out there
there's
and
not.
pull the tricks out and do this.
Going for 2 is often a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, will there be a walk-off win in the divisional round? Last one. Yes is plus 500. No is minus 900. I always with this specific prop, I always like the yes bet if it's around this. If it's right around plus 500 or so, I like it because
Yeah, that's a good line.
yeah, to me, it's just it just happens so often in the playoffs where there's 3 seconds on the clock, got the guy lining up for a field goal, So, yeah.
Was it technically a walk-off win for the Jags the other day? I don't think it was.
I can't.
But that would have been the only one.
Yeah, I can't remember. But anyways, that's it for the prop bets. Guys, please like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, me at Beanie Antics, Casey at EdgeFinder07.
It was a walk-off for the Jags. It hit last week.
And I think we were on the yes last week, weren't we? I think we were. I don't think we.
You probably were. I can't remember. I don't think that I was. I think I was probably a no play. But
okay. All right. Well, that's gonna do it, guys.
Yes. All the following. Click the buttons. Give us love.
Yes, please. We need it. We're starving over here, everybody. All right. See ya.